Good evening and welcome back to the Behind the Leazes podcast. I think we're all in quite a good mood this evening, aren't we? Because, of course, we've won. Well, counting the friendly, 3 games on the bounce, but 2 league games on the bounce. Who thought we'd be saying that there? Get in. What a feeling. Just the 4 of us this evening. We've got Andy, Rob, and Ethan. We'll start with you, Ethan. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, mate. I'm doing well. It was what a game. I mean, I'm disappointed that I wasn't there, but I was watching from home, and you could feel the atmosphere in my living room. Oh, mate, I'm absolutely buzzing.
Absolutely buzzing. I think we all are buzzing. Rob, you look quite happy as well. You were at the game last night. How are you feeling?
Yes, I was there. It was fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, as we say, we obviously had quite a bit of a break since the win against Leeds. We had the international break / winter break, and then obviously we didn't have an FA Cup game. So it felt like it had been quite a while, even longer since I've been to St. James's Park. And I felt a bit like unsure going into the game because we hadn't played in a while. We've got 5 new players in the team, and I really wasn't sure how it was going to go. But yeah, it totally blew my expectations out of the water, to be honest. We were really good last night.
Yeah, I think we all really enjoyed the game and the result. We've got Andy here as well. How are you feeling after such a big win?
Mate, unreal. And didn't I tell you? I told you it was going to be a walk in the park. And what was last night? It was a walk in the park. Nothing short of it.
Yeah, I think, we say it and it's like, oh yeah,
just tell us I was right.
Really well.
Yes,
you're.
Just go
in retrospect, Andy, you're right. You're right. But I think there are a couple of us on this podcast that maybe are pessimists rather than optimists. I think myself being the main one, I think. But still, it's a fantastic win. We've played really well as well. Of course, 3-1 against Everton. It was Frank Lampard's first game. A game that, maybe in the first 30 minutes or so when that first goal went in, you thought, oh, here we go again. Typical Newcastle. We're going to lose this one. But we'll come back and we won 3-1. Ethan, it was such a good game. I think in the second half as well, we played fantastic. Who do you think were the standout players in the starting 11 for Newcastle?
The first 2 players that come to mind straight away, Liam, is Kieran Trippier and Alan Saint-Maximin. Trippier, not just the goal, not just the unbelievable free kick that he scored, but all game he defended so well, and there's more of a calmness in our back line now. He just brings so much leadership and experience, and we actually look like we can defend at the minute, which seemed unimaginable a few weeks ago. And then, like I said, Alan Saint-Maximin just creating things, like, to use the words of Frank Lampard, he was unplayable. He really, really was. And we've criticised him last few weeks on this podcast that he's not making the right decisions, playing the balls at the right time. But my God, his dribbling, his decision making, he deserved a couple of goals as well as his assist that he got. He was unbelievable. So it's really difficult to separate between Trippier and Saint-Maximin, who got man of the match, in my opinion.
You muted.
It popped up from the screen downwards. Yeah, I think it's really good that we're playing as a team now as well. I think something that maybe we were lacking in, maybe not the past few weeks, but you look at when the takeover went through, Steve Bruce was still the manager. That Tottenham game, we just didn't play well at all. But now, look at us now. What a difference a few months makes in a few signings as well. Rob, we were talking about the atmosphere before the game, and there was one player, I think, on the Everton side that maybe got a little bit riled up, rustled the feathers a little bit, rustled the arms as well, maybe. Jordan Pickford. He didn't have a fantastic game, did he? And I think, do you reckon that's maybe to do with the crowd?
Yes, I don't think he likes playing at St. James's Park, does he? Because it never really seems to go to plan. I've seen at least 3 different T-Rexes in the crowd. One bloke dressed as one, so that was a good laugh. But yeah, the atmosphere was amazing. Obviously, war flags doing their part. Gallagher flag was up. And what they'd actually done is taken a load of the flags and put them in the Leazes as well. So there was literally flags all around the ground. I even had to go myself when I got in there on one of the huge flags, which is way more difficult than it actually looks, by the way. There he is.
that's our
He wouldn't
man
have been
from
able to
England,
lift this flag. I tell you what, it was absolutely humongous. So yeah, that was a good laugh. Literally asking everyone as they walked past, do you want to have a go on this, mate? Because I'm literally, my arms are going to fall off. No one seemed keen. Finally found a friend to take it off us. But yeah, the atmosphere was incredible. Again, when the Geordies are in full voice, and it's funny, there's a few people recently, I think Foster, the goalkeeper from Watford, he actually came out and said that St James's Park is the best stadium for atmosphere, which is brilliant. And I think the fans did themselves proud last night.
Yeah, I think they really proved it last night. And I think one moment in particular was when that third goal went in, Kieran Trippier's free kick. What a free kick it was as well, by the way. Andy, just describe you know what you felt whilst that goal went in.
Oh, unbelievable, mate. My voice has been very raspy today from just shouting that much. It was just almost couldn't believe it. But when he stepped up, I don't know if about you lads, but you just had that sense. It was like, this is going in, this. But I thought he would go for the top bins, because then I thought there's no way on earth Pickford would reach it. It was just fantastically taken. I mean, you see, I watched it about 50 times when I got in, and then you see all the angles on Twitter. It's just amazing. It should go up there for a goal of the season for me. I don't think we'll get a better one than that in the next couple of months.
And we've got a comment coming as well from Adam, who he's a Man United fan, but you know, not the best United. So he said, my four favourite Geordies after Ant Deck, Sam Fender, and Cheryl Cole. Maybe we'll have to have a 1942s one day. But yeah, you know, as well, Jamal Lascelles, I want to go on to, a player who unfortunately scored an own goal. Watching the highlights back, it was a very unfortunate own goal, I must say. But then he come right back. He hit the crossbar, and then Mason Holgate scored an own goal for himself. Ethan, Jamal Lascelles, you had quite a good game yesterday, didn't you? I think maybe that own goal sort of shifted the momentum in his favour.
Yeah, well, Jamal Lascelles' season's been abysmal so far, but last couple of games, Leeds game, this game, he's been a different player. He's been the player of old, the confident leader that we've needed at the back. There was a few times where he went in with a strong tackle and the crowd got behind him, and he loved that. He enjoyed it as well. And what a show of character to bounce back from scoring that own goal. He's been unfortunate a few times this season. I've said he's been poor, but there's been a few decisions against him, I feel, with penalties. And there was another own goal that he scored, which was unfortunate. But what a show of character, because he's had a difficult season. And straight away, a couple of minutes later, he had that bullet header from who else but Trippier's corner. And then he was fortunate enough to see it go in the rebound. But yeah, what a character to bounce back, because I know we criticise players on this podcast, and I've been especially critical of Jamal Lascelles, and with every reason, I think. But when a player bounces back and he gives his all and shows character and passion like that, I'm all for it, and I'm going to back him all the way. So yeah, fair play to Jamal Lascelles.
Do you think maybe he reckons that his captaincy might be under a bit of scrutiny now that Kieran Trippier's here? Maybe,
Liam, and maybe that's what he's fighting for. Also, you have to remember, if a lot of these players might be fighting for the sakes of keeping Newcastle in the league, but they might not have their positions in the first team cemented next season if the club decide to improve on players like Lascelles. So maybe there's a motivation to prove himself, to prove that he's still the club captain and he wants to still be in there next season and be an integral part of the team still. And maybe he's wondering that his captaincy might be under threat. But that gives him motivation to play even better, I think. So it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. If he's going to be performing like that from now to the rest of the season, he can stay in that starting 11 for as long as he likes.
I think his mentality really reminds me of, do you remember in the 2015-16 season where we were looking like we were doomed, and then all of a sudden it had come out that Lascelles had become the voice of the dressing room, and a lot of the characters sort of come out of him. It seems like he's maybe getting just a little bit of that back now, which is really, really good.
Which I feel that kind of, when he got that kind of motivation, it was kind of fed off more of a negativity. Everyone else is playing so poor and I'm going to have to prove myself. But now it feels like that motivation's coming from a positive thing. He has to prove himself. Everyone's behind him. Everyone's together, united. It's not such a somber atmosphere and he's the one standing out. Yesterday, it wasn't just Lascelles performing. It was everyone. Everyone on that pitch was united. I mean, when you saw Kieran Trippier score that free kick and his celebration, Ryan Fraser's celebration as well, just look at the emotion there. And I feel that's reflecting on all the players, not just Lascelles as well.
A couple of debutants as well yesterday. One of them, Rob, was Matt Targett. What did you make of his performance?
Yeah, quality, to be honest. I know Trippier and St. Max will probably get the main plaudits, but generally all around, I thought there wasn't really anyone who had a bad game. And the thing with Matt Targett, and I think we kind of knew this with him coming in, to be honest, I just think it's obviously in this window, and we've discussed this a million times, we're out of the bottom three right now, which is fantastic. And I think if you'd offered us, start of January that we'll finish the season, in 17th, or even just now, to be honest, to finish 17th, we'd all still take it. And Bruno Fernandes, that's a bit of our exotic flirt in the window to bring in someone a bit exciting. And I think Trippier is quite an exciting prospect as well. But I think ultimately Targett, Burn, Wood, and I would still say Trippier to a degree, aren't really hugely flashy. I think they're just players that you bring in to get us over the line at the end of the season, which is finishing that 17th. And I think Matt Targett pretty much did exactly that last night, just steady, just totally aware of what he's doing. He knows how to defend. He knows when to push, when to not push, when to cover, when to not cover. I think left back for us all season has been that position on the pitch with, Lewis and Richie literally turning around and going, am I meant to be heading that one? Am I, as it goes over their head and someone nuts it in at the back stick? I just think Targett was just well and truly in his element. He knew what he had to do. And yeah, totally impressed.
Yeah, he really, really impressed me as well. Chris Wood, he's one of them players, though, who maybe hasn't hit the ground running, Rob.
Yeah, I think it's always going to be tough for Chris Wood. Just in the way we play football, to be honest, the amount of chances necessarily going forward aren't always high. I think we did well to create chances last night. But what he really needs is balls coming into the box. And I definitely think we did more of that yesterday. Yeah, he's playing up top on his own. It's a funny one. I think Callum Wilson, if he was fit, would probably take that position back quite easily. But he's only just come in. He's adjusting. We are going to bring in a player like Fernandes, who I think we will see more balls out to the wings for Targett and Trippier to run onto. So maybe once that kind of starts coming into play, we might see more balls coming in the box for Chris Wood. I mean, ultimately, if he plays up front and people are still scoring around him, he's the one who's bringing the ball down and laying it off for them. So it's not a glamorous job, but he's still doing one. Obviously, as the striker, we still want to see him get involved in a couple of goals, and I'm hoping that he still will. But yeah, it's been slow for him so far.
Without doubt, yeah. I think he'll find his form soon. I think, Ethan, you said that when he signed, a lot of Burnley fans were saying that, he doesn't really play that well on his own. He's he prefers to play in a front two. So maybe he is just feeling the effects of that. Andy, I'll move on to Bruno Fernandes or Guimaraes or however you say it. There's been a bit of a Twitter spat on how you pronounce his name. He was only on the pitch for a few minutes, but he made quite the impact, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean that collective groan from the strawberry corner when he backheeled it in the corner to George Linton was quite something. But I think we've really got a special player on our hands with Bruno. We've been told by all these French football experts that we'll have, and I just can't wait to see him play a full 90. I'd expect him probably to just drop straight in against Villa, and we're going to need it. Let's be honest, Villa are a tougher challenge. They're playing good football under Steven Gerrard, but just Everton, I mean, we talk about how bad we've been this season. I'm just glad we no longer have played the worst performance at St James's Park this season, because by God, they look miles off the mark. They were trying to play out from the back, from the goal kicks, and they just couldn't. I don't know why. They've obviously not been able to do it in training if you can't do it if you're doing it that badly in match. So why is Frank Lampard then not just scrapped it, just play it long? They were hopeless. Branthwaite came on. He couldn't keep the ball at his feet. He was all over the place. Pickford's usually quite good at distributing the ball. Hopeless. There was that one where the balls came to him and he's just went to clear it from his box and he's absolutely scuffed it. Yeah. Miles up in the air. It's dropped back at Branthwaite, who then hasn't been able to collect the ball himself, and he's had one of the worst first touches I've ever seen. Willock's came running over and seen it out for a corner, and it was just so easy. Like, I can't emphasize how much of I think when the second one went in, of course it's Newcastle, we're going to be nervy, but there was still that sense of comfort because Everton just didn't look like doing anything. It was so weird to see that. And I mean, look, you know what I'm like for getting carried away with stuff. And I mean, Villa's more of, like I said, more of a challenge. But I think if we can get this run of games we've got coming, a good run of games, I think we can pick up minimum 8 points and really kick on. I don't think it's a point of us finishing 17th anymore. I think we will finish 16th and above. I don't think we'll be in the bottom four come the end of the season.
I feel like that's always the story with Newcastle, though. You know, the first half of the season, it's quite poor. They're in or around the relegation zone, and then they'll pick it up towards the second half of the season, and then it's, you know, I think we finished 12th last season.
We were last year, and then we finished. Was it 12th or 13th? Yeah. I mean, we've just had that natural kick about us, but I want to say I'm looking forward to next season, but it is Newcastle United, so we'll wait till May. But no, last night was a very good point to look at as from where this season's going to kick on from, I think.
Of course, and just sort of staying on the topic of how Everton played as well, do you think the result sort of stemmed from how bad Everton were or how good we were yesterday?
Both. I think we were brilliant, and I mentioned before he hasn't getting enough plaudit. I don't think Joe Willock was fantastic again yesterday. He was great against the Leeds. He just grafted all game. It was fantastic. I mean, look, it's hard to single out players when the team plays that well as a unit, but we were really good, and Everton were really poor. And I can only imagine what Brentford are like if this Everton team went and beat them 4-1. Rob, I know last week you were going on about the new manager bounce. I think Everton have just wasted it all on that FA Cup game. Frank Lampard has got a massive job on his hands, and there's a great photo of I think it's Bruno and Joe Linton coming off the pitch at the end of the game. And there's just Donny van de Beek looks absolutely distraught. He went to Everton because he didn't want to get into a relegation fight. Well, tough luck, son. You're in one now. And tell you what, mind, they're in it more than we are, if that's the way they're going to play this season.
Well, yeah, I think for me personally, I didn't realise how close they actually were to the relegation zone. I know positionally there were a couple of places off, but there's 3-4 points between 16th and 18th. It's really, really scary times for Everton. So you wouldn't want to be an Everton fan. I want to pull up a little stat for you guys as well. And it's about Alan St-Maximin. It's something that I've just found on Twitter. So he's got the most successful dribbles in the Premier League this season with 101. Guess how many successful dribbles number 2 has?
Oh my goodness. No, but nowhere near him, surely. Maybe 85?
Lower.
I actually saw this earlier on, so...
Oh, you're going to spoil it, right?
I won't spoil it. I know I was going to just... Oh, I think it's this, and then get it exactly right.
You're like, bang on now.
I won't. Go on, Andy. What's your guess?
Go on, have a pop, Andy.
What was it? Sorry, I've honestly.
St. Maximin has had 101 successful. Is that correct? 101 successful dribbles so far this season. Who comes in at second? And it's lower than 85, which was my guess.
What, the number or not, or the player? Can I get both?
Well, you can do both if you want.
No, but if you could get the
I want to say it's something like, is it not in the 20s? And I'm sure it's Adama Traore.
No, you're wrong.
Is it 53?
So it's Dwight McNeil with 45.
Oh.
So what? That's
wow.
56 dribbles?
Yeah,
that's
difference.
That's
it's
crazy.
over double the amount of dribbles, and I mean, God knows how many he added to yesterday. But he was one of the players as well, Ethan, who really stood out, and I think was quite unfortunate not to score a goal yesterday as well.
Liam, I honestly think he's the most entertaining player you can watch at the minute in the Premier League or maybe world football. I mean, I watch the Premier League. I can't speak about everywhere else, but I'm not saying he's the best. but I'm saying he's the most entertaining because nobody knows what he's going to do. He's surely the best dribbler if you're pulling out stats like that in what I would argue the best league in the world. He's got to be. But yeah, yesterday he was amazing. He deserved a couple of goals as well. There was, I think, 2 times where Pickford blocked with his legs when it could have gone in. Also deserved another assist when he laid the ball off for Jacob Murphy. It could have finished 4 or 5-1 in the second half.
Yeah.
And what a scoreline that would have been. And it would have been thanks to St. Maximin doing all some amazing stuff, Liam. Honestly, I genuinely think he's the most entertaining player you can watch right now.
I saw you tweeted that out a little bit earlier, and I must say
I get no engagement on Twitter, Liam.
It's all right. I saw it. That's amazing.
That's good. But I know we're talking about players who are arguably the best in the world. Maybe the argument for Ronaldo is slowly dying off, or Messi or whatever. But I'd rather pay money to watch St. Maximin than Ronaldo. Would you not? Like,
or just imagine a team of like St. Maximin, Ben Arthur. Who else could we throw into that?
Dream.
Absolutely. Remy Kabir, he was good fun to watch. But
you cannot be throwing Remy Kabir in the same way as like Rebay.
No, he's not made it. I'm joking. But honestly, what a performance from him yesterday. Sorry, yeah. Go on, Andy.
I mean, you kind of just throw him into the hat because he's French. Riviere was French.
He had a few good moves. He wouldn't get past anyone, but
that was it.
He'd stand on the spot and he'd throw a few moves, wouldn't you? He'd never actually progress anywhere, but you'd stand still and do it, then play it backwards probably. But he had a few tricks up his sleeve as well.
That goal against Hull,
season's just a void in my brain. Yeah. 2015, I can't remember 2015.
Yeah, the less said about that, the better. We've had a comment coming from Doc. Just when we were talking about Lascelles, he said a good response from Lascelles. However, like you say, they all played well, but Lascelles is not consistently good enough longer term. A good servant, but going forward, he's not in my squad. Rob, I'll come to you on this one. What do you make of that comment there?
It's hard not to argue, to be honest. I mean, the only thing I'll say, and again, maybe I've got some sentimentality towards Lascelles just because of the fact that, again, we're down in the Championship, we're not having a good time, and I think Lascelles stepped up, took the captaincy, brought us up, and it generally has been a really. It's similar, obviously the Kieran Clark stuff. It's all gone a little bit sour with him not being kept in the squad or left out of the squad, then supposedly rejecting loan deals, and everyone's kind of jumped on him and gone, well, what are you doing? But at the end of the day, you've got to remember that the guy has played for us for some time. He did bring us back up from the Championship. He's played in a team that's been probably, not helped at all by the ownership and players coming in. And, it's similar with Lascelles, is that really he's one of the players who has worked very hard for us. And ideally, I would love to see him be able to put that performance in, week out, and for him to be one of the key players who was able to stay with us for the next 3, 4, 5 years as we build. But then I can't really argue with Doc if he is gonna, one game he's good. It's the same conversation with Lewis and Richie playing at left back. That's why we brought Matty Target in, because you can't afford to have one good game, one bad game, one good game. I mean, Shelby's had stick for it for a long time for doing exactly that. If Lascelles can, pick himself up, and again, with the help of someone like Trippier and maybe another centre-back next to him with a bit more experience that can hold his hand a little bit through the tough patches, I think when he is having a hard time, there's no one really there to save him. I think that's why a team like, obviously, Man City are completely different to where we are right now. But, if one person has a bad game, there's 10 other good players to pick up. I think when Lascelles has a good game, again, he's surrounded by players who aren't any good either. So who's going to, it's easy to look bad in a bad team. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see Lascelles stick around, but I'm not going to argue with the owners and the management. To be honest, they can make the choices.
Andy, I'll come to you on this one as well next. Looking at the performances he's had throughout the season, as well as this game as well, do you think he's going to be one of their long-term players, or do you think at the end of the season he might want to be one of the deadwood players, possibly?
No, I think he'll still be there. We had this conversation when we all met up and did the pod in person, that I think there's a load of players we need to get rid of first before you like Lascelles go. I think Ferry will be running his contract down now. He's getting to that age where he might be looking to maybe go back to Argentina or a stint in the MLS, something like that. Kieran Clark, we all know, is probably going to leave soon as well. He needs to go before. There's a load of players that I would say need to go before Lascelles does. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, if we do bring someone like Botman or Carlos in the summer, Lascelles is great backup. And he's good, obviously good to have around the changing room as well. But like we're saying, moving forward, players come and go. If he does want to go away and maybe he thinks he's going to get better playing time somewhere else in the future, I'm all for it. He's been, like Doc said there, he's been a good servant for the club. So he deserves to do what he wants, really.
Ethan, would you echo what they've both said there? I know I asked you a question regarding captaincy before, but do you think he would be one of them players that has a bit more longevity about him at the club?
Yeah, definitely. You want to have characters like that still around at the club. Someone who knows the club really well now. He's been here for a number of years. He gets it. But yeah, I mean, it's all about improving. It's all about having a better squad, like Rob said, with bringing Matt Targett in. Jamal Lewis and Richie, they're all right. But if there's someone there who you can improve with, go get them. And in the summer, you'll have more of a chance to do that. You can improve in all areas. More players become available. It's more difficult in a January transfer window because teams want to keep their players for as long as possible. But there's no reason to get rid of players like Jamal Lascelles just yet. You want big characters like that to stick around for as long as possible, I think.
Yeah, I think I agree with you all. I'd like to see Lascelles here for at least another 3-4 years, possibly. Even if he doesn't start every game, it would just be nice to have him there, a bit of a mentor for some of the newer players that came in. Let's move on, though, to preview the next game as well. Of course, Aston Villa, it's going to be a very difficult game there. They're looking good under Steven Gerrard now. I'll go around the room on this one as well. Ethan, we'll start with you. Do you think, when we play this team, that we are going to be the better team to get the win, or do you think it might just be a case of Aston Villa are maybe not? I don't know what I'm asking here, but what do you think we need to do to be the better team? Yeah.
Well, I think if you're looking at who's got the better squads or whatever, speaking about the January transfer window in particular, there's the phrase "who's won the transfer window," and I would argue maybe Aston Villa won the transfer window and Newcastle came second. It was quite close between the two, so both teams have had a good January. But it's going to be difficult. Villa have picked up a little bit of form. Gerrard's getting them playing good stuff, especially when they've brought in players like Coutinho and Luca Dean. They're very strong. It's a difficult one to call, but what do Newcastle need to do to win that game? It's a good question. They need to play like they did against Everton. That's what they need to do. They need to replicate that. They need to have the same fight. I really hope, I don't know if there's been any more news that's broke about it today, that Kieran Trippier's injury on his calf isn't too serious. If you have players like him in there, I think you've got every chance to challenge Villa, and it's going to be a tough one. But we're going to do predictions at the end, but I can't call it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think last night Eddie Howe said it was only a slight little knock to his calf. I'm not too sure if there's been any sort of update though, but hoping that it'll be all right. He didn't go off or anything.
He's fit, Liam. Honestly, so important. Yeah. I know I've talked about Trippier already, but the composure, the leadership, the confidence that is now in the team, because I think of honestly him as an individual, it's skyrocketed. So yeah, I hope he's fit for that game.
Yeah, he really has changed the team since joining. Rob, coming to you next now as well. Do you think there needs to be any tactical changes or any player alterations at all to try and get a win against Aston Villa, or would you just keep the team the same as they are?
It's a funny one because, again, I know Everton weren't good last night, which definitely helped us. But then it's quite a hard marker because I think we did play well. Again, you look at the fact that Andy mentioned it, Everton went and beat Brentford in the FA Cup 4-1 at the weekend. So again, I'm thinking they've just won a game. Frank Lampard's in. They've got Dele Alli and Van der Beek, who they didn't play, and when they brought them on for 5 minutes, they both looked rubbish. But they didn't play them. So again, and I still, I think Everton have got a half decent side, to be honest. I think they've, Richarlison. I know Calvert-Lewin's been injured. I don't even think Townsend's still a decent player. So. although they did play badly, I still think they're an all right side. They're on some terrible form, but they're still a decent side. I think Aston Villa are a better side, but I think if we can play the way we did again and keep that, just the high tempo, the momentum, the new players are in, everyone's excited, everyone's trying to prove themselves. Lascelles wants to show what he can do. If we can run that in to this weekend, I think we've got every chance, to be honest. I think there's players like Coutinho that they've got now who can grab a game by the scruff of the neck and win it on his own. If he wants to, he can probably score from anywhere on the pitch. So I think that's the kind of thing we need to look out for. But I think ultimately, keep it tight at the back, or as tight as we can, and just try and take the chances when we get them. I mean, things like, we talk about Chris Wood not being potentially a prolific goal scorer, but that's why you've got to make use of your other players and someone like Trippier who can score a free kick, or who can get the ball in the box from a set piece like the Lascelles header. We need to do more of that and try and pick up goals that way as well.
Andy, just coming to you now as well, which players on Newcastle side do you think could be the game changers? And looking at Aston Villa's side as well, who do you think could change the game in their favour?
To be honest, mate, if we play like we did last night, the whole team, my only concern is, I would guess, in Matt Targett's loan contract that he can't play against his parent club. So
No,
it'd be interesting to see who does drop in that spot. I would preferably, if Trippier is fit and fine, I would want Manquillo to come in that spot, because all of a sudden on that right hand side, we've been so ropey for right backs the last few years. All of a sudden, it's like really good. Like Trippier for 12 million is an absolute bargain. And Ethan, you went on about who won the transfer window. I'd back us to the moon, because 12 million for Trippier is just an absolute steal. And Manquillo was a fantastic cover at right back as well. Obviously, your obvious Maximin. Wood. For me, Wood was really good last night off the ball. He was pulling people away. He was creating spaces for Ryan Fraser and Maxi to get in. So if he gives more of that and gives Tyrone Mings a bit of a fight, I always notice Tyrone Mings likes to play this big bully as centre half. Same as Yerry Mina. He's hit them two are the same kind of thuggish centre halves. And I think if Chris Wood gives them hassle, they'll go, oh, hang on, actually, 2 seconds, don't fancy this. Well, it grafted. Obviously, Bruno's going to be the massive. Like, I know that they've got the Douglas Luiz and players like that, John McGinn, but Bruno's levels above them, and he showed that in 4 minutes. It's to see what he can do in 90 minutes is going to be amazing. I can't wait, and I can't ever remember being excited to watch a holding midfielder, but here we are. On the Villa sides of things, you've got Coutinho. Embi Buendia surprised everyone. No one thought Buendia was going to get a shout once Coutinho came in, because everyone thought they were going to be too similar of a player. But that game against Everton, they both played really well. And then you've got your likes of Ollie Watkins, who is hit and miss, Danny Ings, all these players. So Villa are a threat. I just think if we played like we did last night, we can match them, and if not more.
And we'll go around the room now for a score prediction as well. So I'll start with Ethan.
Oof. Well, I don't think I've ever backed us for a win on this podcast. And if there's ever a time to do it, I would say it's now. So I'm going to back Newcastle to win 2-1.
2-1. All right, optimistic. I like it.
Yeah.
Rob, what about yourself?
I went 1-0 to us for the Everton game, and then we scored 3 goals. I'm tempted to go 1-0 to us again. I just think that I think it's going to be tight. I still don't. Do I back us to keep a clean sheet? I don't know, because we're still struggling to do that. Maybe this could be the first time in a while. So I'll go. Well, no, we got one against Leeds, didn't we? Anyway,
Yeah,
I'll go 1-0 Newcastle.
1-0 Newcastle. All right. So we've got 2 wins. Andy, are you going to follow the same path?
Of course, it's me. No, I have to agree with Ethan. 2-1. And I'm going to back Chris Wood to score his first.
Oh.
I know I said he would score against Everton, but I think he'll get his first against Villa. Hopefully a Trippier corner. I think that's where it'll come from.
That'd be nice.
Nice one. I think I agree with Ethan and Andy here. I don't think we'll get a clean sheet in this game, but I do back us to score a couple of goals. I think Maxi will finally get the goal that he definitely deserved from the Everton game. And then you know what, Chris Wood can get a nice goal as well. Let's hope Kamara starts as well.
This is truly the first time we've had a full house predicting a win.
Must be.
I believe so.
That's remarkable for this season of how it's gone, isn't it? Like, because honestly, there's nothing better when you're in a relegation fight to have back-to-back wins. It's so difficult. It just changes the complexion of the league straight away completely. And if we could get 3 wins to the bounce, wow, that would be good, wouldn't
flying,
it?
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
It would be fantastic.
You know what's great as well? Sorry to butt in. We've got Everton to play again, so there's another guaranteed 3 points. We've got them to play.
Walk in the park.
Exactly. Walk in the Goodison Park.
Yeah, very nice.
Right, we'll end the podcast there.
Good idea.
Gents, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk 2 podcasts in a row about wins. We've not done that since, latter stages of the last season, I think. So it's very nice to actually talk about another win. And let's make it 3 on the bounce, shall we, for the weekend. But gents, it's been an absolute pleasure. This has been Behind the Leazes. We'll see you next time.